Good morning friends, welcome to The Point. In this video we will learn about a concept called Wholesale Price Index. So starting with it, so as the name suggests, it is a price index of wholesale goods, as you could read from the heading. So we'll go through the definition first. It is an index that measures the changes in the price of the commodity at the wholesale level. As simple as that. So what is this wholesale level? So let's suppose there is a consumer and it goes to a shop, right, to buy some apparel, or let's say rice. Okay, so here at the shop this person gets rice at the rate 10 rupees per kg. Fine, but this shop also must have acquired this rice in bulk from some factory or some supplier. Now the price at which this retail outlet has got the rice, let's suppose it is 8 rupees per kg. Now this price is called the wholesale price, and this wholesale price index tracks the changes in this price, the transaction which is happening between a retail shop and the factory. The transaction price is tracked by this wholesale price index. So we'll go through this once again. It is an index that measures the changes in the price of the commodity at the wholesale level. As I have explained, now I think it must be clear to you. It shows changes in the price of goods sold at bulk level. Definitely the retail shop must have not got just 1 kg of rice from the factory. It must have got a quintal of it, or 50 kgs or more than that. So the price tracked at bulk level. This indicator helps government to track or measure the inflation and growth in the economy. It just tracks the change in the price of goods only, as the services is something which cannot be sold in the bulk. Yeah, that is pretty obvious. So goods is something which you can get it in bulk, like 10 kgs of rice, or 50 kgs or 100 kgs. But how do you get services in bulk? Because service is something which is very perishable and it has to be provided at the point of time of sales. It cannot be stored. Let's suppose you want to go to a restaurant, or you want to avail some hospital services. You cannot get in and store in your house or in a warehouse. You just have to go and doctor will check, or if you want to get injected, that can happen at that point of sales. It cannot be stored for future as it is perishable. So the services are not dealt in the wholesale market. That is the reason this wholesale price index just considered the price of goods. This is very so in order to understand why anything tracks goods or services, or in whatever an index is tracking, please try to understand what is the logic behind including such goods and services, whatever the index is tracking about. Once you strike the logic why the certain things are included and certain things are excluded, it becomes very easy for you to understand it and remember it for a longer period of time than to rotely memorize that in this index only this and this is included and so is included. You may definitely forget after a certain point of time, but if you try to understand what is the logic behind excluding certain amount of goods, then I think you will remember it for the longer period, or maybe for the lifetime. So moving on to the next slide. It is diagrammatically represented. So on this level, so this is consumer, it is you, me, so whatever, so when we go to this retail shop for buying rice, as in the previous example, so the transaction which happens between these retail shops and the consumer, which is you and I, this is tracked by a consumer price index, which we will take in a separate video. And the transaction price between these retail shops and these wholesale depots or the factories, this transaction price is tracked by wholesale price index. So this WPI is concerned with the tracking the wholesale prices. Now we'll dig more into it, what WPI is all about and who publishes it. So this data is published by Office of Economic Advisor, which come under the aegis of Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Then what is the base year? So for calculating or tracking any growth, or say when we want to know what is the difference between the production volume of this year compared to that previous year, we need a base year for that to compare our values. So for calculating WPI, we consider 2011-12 as our base year. And what are the goods and services considered in calculation of WPI? So as I told, services are not included, only it is just the goods that are included. So there are total of 697 articles that are considered in calculation, which can be broadly categorized into primary articles, fuel and power, and manufactured products. Now this primary article is further divided into food article and non-food articles. Okay, now this food article could be like your paddy, wheat, sugarcane, pulses, veggies. And what is this non-food items? It could be, let's say, your apparels, oil seeds, minerals, crude petroleum. Now the petroleum or diesel will go in fuel and power, but the crude petroleum will go in non-food items. But nevertheless, we should not be bothered about which item will go under which head. We should broadly know the broad categorization as to in which three categories the goods are divided, which is primary, fuel and power, and the manufactured product. That is all we need to know. And then next is so when is this data published? For primary articles and power data, it is published on weekly basis, whereas when we publish the data collectively, that is including the food and non-food items and the manufactured ones and the fuel and power ones, it is on the monthly basis. So it gets published in newspaper, and the publishing authority is as Office of Economic Advisor, as we read in the previous slide. And on this basis, we get to know what is the inflation trend in the economy in the wholesale prices. And definitely when the inflation trend in wholesale prices is increasing or is on the growth trajectory, then it would definitely affect the prices in the retail market also. That is pretty obvious. Yeah. So in our country, what is considered as the measure of inflation? So do we consider WPI or the CPI? So for India, it is CPI that is considered as a measure of inflation, then WPI being considered. What is the formula for calculating? As it is mathematical formula. So whatever period you want to consider, so you will put it in the numerator. So let's suppose 2017 divided by the base year, that was 2011-12 data, and into 100, and your growth or inflation rate or any rate will come. So now this is a weighted diagram showing which article, what is the weight of those three goods categorization that we did, what percentage does each of them hold. So as I told you, this food article, non-food, and crude petroleum, I told you, this mineral oil, all this will come in non-food items. Sorry, the primary articles, sorry, this will come here, and then the further classification was the food and the non-food one. So we should not be bothered about that, but the primary classification was the primary article. So yeah, all this will come here, and you see a major chunk of it is from this food. Yes, definitely, obviously it will form a major component of it, as we all consume it on daily basis, and a major chunk of our salary or spending goes on the food items. So yes, it will constitute the major part of the WPI, but the majority of it, if we talk about, goes to the manufacturing sector. That is the most that is something which carries the most weightage out of everything as compared to the rest of two. And if you see how much, so most is this 18 comes from food articles, and the rest next is this is basic metals, and electricity is also there because we consume it every day and the economy runs on it. It is now the basic need of our living. So yeah, this is just, you can just go through it just for a broad idea. You don't need to memorize it. It is just for the reference purpose, so you can get a bird eye view as to what constitutes how much. So yeah, I hope the concept of WPI is clear, that why the goods are just the goods are included and services are excluded, and which part of transaction is tracked in by this index. So this is all for the today's video. Thank you so much.